Hey everyone, welcome back. I've got a great video for you today. I'm really excited about this one just because we're all doing sourdough at home and we all have these sourdough starters and mothers sitting in the cupboard. We've got to figure out something to do with it, and I thought a pretzel recipe would be the perfect use for this. So it's a sourdough pretzel and we're just going to dive right into it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get a bit of butter, around 2 tablespoons of butter. You don't have to be perfect on this, so I'm just eyeballing it and I'm throwing it in this container here. And into that, I'm adding around 1 cup of milk, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna warm up the milk a bit in the microwave, melt the butter, and mix it all together. Then we're gonna take 4 cups of all-purpose flour, put that into a bowl. We're gonna add 1.5 cups of our starter. Now my starter is a 50-50 mix of flour and water. Yours might be a bit different, so see how much you need. But if you are doing 50-50, so equal weight of flour and water to your starter, then 1.5 cups is just fine. So we're gonna pour that in. We're gonna add a bit of sugar. It's only 2 tablespoons of sugar. That's just gonna give it a little bit more food. Pour in that milk butter mixture and we're gonna start stirring it together. One big thing that I messed up with, I started with a spatula, so probably wanna use a wooden spoon. I switched it out. And we just want to start getting those ingredients together. Now once they're a bit more combined, we're going to add about 1 teaspoon of salt, and we're going to mix it together in the bowl just to make it a little bit easier. Once it's kind of combined, putting it onto your work surface and start kneading it. Now if you have a mixer, you can do this, but it is a very tough dough, so make sure that your mixer has the power to do so. If you're doing it by hand, I think it's going to take around 10 minutes of kneading before it gets to this shape. So then we want to oil a bowl lightly, put in our ball of dough, make sure it's covered in the oil, and wrap it in some plastic wrap. We're going to let this sit at room temperature until it's doubled, so it's around 2 hours for me. So go ahead, put this somewhere nice, and we'll come back to it in 2 hours. So here we are 2 hours later roughly, and I'm gonna open this up and turn it out onto the counter. Just wanna degas it if you have a bunch of gas in there. So there we go, it's pushing it down, flattening it out. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna divide this dough into as many pretzels as you wanna make, basically. So depending on the size, if you wanna do 8 really big ones, 12, 16, I probably wouldn't go any more than around 16 pretzels for this particular recipe, but just start cutting it in half and see where you go. If you want to get really technical, you can bust out your scale and start measuring out the actual weight, but I just eyeball it because I'm just like that. So great way to do it is just sort of dividing it. I'm using this bench scraper. Start dividing it in half, and then what I'm doing after that is I'm taking each of these halves and quartering them, and that just gives me the size of the pretzel that I like. Personally, I don't like these huge ones. I like something that I can kind of snack on every now and again. But super easy again. If you want to weigh them out equally, totally fine, but I like it very easy. So once you have all those portioned out, take one of the pieces, cover the rest with some sort of cloth or something so they don't dry out, and just start rolling it into, I don't know, around 30, 40 centimeters. Depends on kind of how big. I think I went bit bigger than a foot, but then you want to start twirling these and have a double twirl to do the pretzel. So I screwed up on this first one, as you can see, and I just want to start it again. So it needs to do 2 spins and then fold it over. So roll it out, make sure it spins twice, and then fold the pieces that you're holding down to create the pretzel shape. Now it doesn't have to be perfect because these will turn into a better shape as they cook, but I just sort of pat it down to hold it together and put it on that baking sheet that I have set aside, and just keep doing that. So it's very difficult when you first get started, just trying to roll it out, trying to get that shape of the pretzel, and you want to make it perfect, but don't worry too much if you need to manually adjust it rather than just letting this sort of swing action. As you can see, everyone's gonna have problems with it, but as long as it's roughly in a pretzel shape, it's gonna be just fine. So I actually have a lot of these, and rather than watching this, keep rolling out more and more and more, I think the best thing to do is we could just fast forward to the next step, which is boiling them. So much like bagels, we're gonna jump into boiling. So here we are, I have some water that's boiling, and I'm gonna throw in some baking soda, around a tablespoon for this pot. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna change the alkaline of the water and gives it that nice brown look. Start tossing in your pretzels. It doesn't take long in the water. It's basically when they float, or around 2 minutes. I like to do, and I just take them, put them on this wire rack, and then I'm taking some salt here and just sprinkling the salt on them right away, because you want the stickiness of the pretzel, and now that it's out of the water, that's gonna hold that salt. There's other toppings that you can do as well. I did one that was cinnamon sugar as an additional topping, or you can do sort of an everything bagel kind of flavor. Depends on what you like, but regular salt is always a crowd pleaser. So just sort of go through, do them in batches, salt them as soon as they come out of the water, or whatever toppings that you want to put on. And then once you have the full batch, then we're gonna sit it into the oven. Now the oven's set to, it's around 450 Fahrenheit or 230 Celsius. And cook them for about 15 minutes or until golden brown. So you can see here, just out of the oven, take them off the pan and put them on a cooling rack. And that's pretty much it. Then you have delicious pretzels ready to go. So super easy, it's a great way to use your sourdough starter, and they taste delicious. Be sure to check out the mustard video if you want a nice Dijon mustard to dip these in. It's my personal favorite. But until next time, I hope you enjoyed, and if you like this and all the other videos, be sure to subscribe to keep up to date.